So for the next video, we'll create a get. But before that, I want to just create a few more. So let's go back and get things here. Let's work with Postman for this one. I just want to create a few more items in our to-do. So let's put it here. And let's just say I want to create a new post. So I created this one, which is to do one. Oops. Did I make something wrong? Yeah. I made something wrong because it's not yet turned on. So let's turn it on. And send the request. So if we look at this one, oh yeah, we should delete everything here. Yeah, that's my past experiments. Anyway, so we create, so this is how it looks like. And then if we create another one, we put it here, 4 and 5. So that means we should expect 6 items in our database. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is to do 5. So that means it's working. Now what we will create is the get. Let's say get many.js. The idea here is we should be able to get all the files. So what I'm going to do is, of course, just prepare stuff here. So let's just use this one for now, because in essence just actually does the same thing. So let's use the get to dos is equals to require live get to dos. We also use the join is equals to require path, and let's export this function get many. Get many is equals to app. Now again, it's a function that we create. So let's do this. Get many to dos. So let's set it up. Now what I want to do is of course set the encoding UTF-8 and get the file name. Of course, join this current directory and the database itself. And then let's get the to-dos. Am I using it right? Let's see. Okay, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to put it on this one because it will still be the same. Get to-dos file. As you can see, because of our what we did in get to-dos, we defined this one. We are getting help And you can see this reads the file and gets the to-dos, and that's the same thing as we have put here. So it is always a good thing to add documentation so that people, especially yourself, and well, of course, on my end, especially myself, who is always forgetting things, helps me understand what I did before. So good practice. Now that I have the to-dos, I'm going to create an array, which is the data, and for all the to-dos of that one, I'll just push the to-do inside the data. And now, why didn't I use just to-dos? Because it's always already an array. I'll show you why later. So let's just do this. Success is true, and data. So, well, the first reason is I don't want to, of course, well, I could just use to do here, but again, it's something that I'm going to just show later. Before that, I forgot to add these things on my commit. So always commit everything before. So let's just add a message here. What did I do again on the create? That means test is add non-happy path. There you go. And that should be committed. What is this? This is just a chore. Change the reporter to spec. And this is another way that this is the reason why I love VS Code, because I can also use this one to add commits. Now, after that, let's go back to our file. As you can see here, there's a lot of files already. So we can just close others so as not to clutter our workspace. Now, given this, you have created many, and let's try it out. So I've created this one. Let's send it up. Oh, it's not yet set up here. Always forget to do that. So let's create get many is equals to require get many, and just do this. So let's see if it works now. Oh, if that is a bit stupid what I did there. It should be inside this app.get to do, and we have because we're not using any of the request responses at the moment, we don't need that. And let's just add a documentation. This gets the to-dos from the database. I always forget things. See, that's why we need documentation, because your later self will always forget what you did in your past self. So now it's working. It's getting all of these things. The only problem in this one is that, let's just say your database is like 100 or 1,000 or even 1,000,000 rows, or maybe 1,000,000 objects in it. It would be pretty bad if you get all of them in one go. So let's add a way to get all of these information with a way to like do pagination. And one of the things that we can use is request, using the request. And let's just do some form. Oh, well, before that, let's add like all of these things, and we get a feature, add get many to dos. So control enter, and that commits everything in our place of the moment. So if we do a git log, this is how our history should look like. And then I press Q to exit. So yep, kill the terminal. Let's go back. Now going back, I want to do pagination, and because get method will not read the payload, that means the body, we should use query param. So what does it look like? Query params allows us to use the URL to get the information. So let's just copy, create, and let's copy this one, get to dos. Oh no, that this one, get many, and that one. So the reason is if I do request dot, we can see the many things that we can use. Well, actually this is not the things that we can use. Anyway, after this, let's just say from the query we can get let's say the limit, and that means we'll just use a default. If there's no limit, we default it to 3 as of the moment. And that means we can now add something here. If data.length is less than the limit, we add the data. Well, this is already self-explanatory. We don't need to add additional function, or I mean comments. The good thing with good readable code is if your code is readable enough, you don't need to add additional comments, because that would sort of make your code a little bit more unreadable. So yeah, so let's send this up. You can see 1, 2, 3. We only are able to get 3, but if we add question mark limit, so as you can see here, there's the query params limit is equals to maybe 4, and send it, we will get 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So yeah, pretty much the same. If we want to use, let's say, the date created as a way to paginate, so let's use, of course we can also do like sorting, data.sort, and let's say previews and next. If we do this, next dot date, so let's use date updated as a way to sort it up. Previous date updated. Now as you can see here, it's really hard to sort this one out, so let's just send it over and see. So as you can see, 159919007437. So 7437 is greater than 4070, and it's greater than 1900 and then 1899, and in essence we can see that this is descending. So my go-to setups is, let's say, if we want to sort it in a descending order, we should put next first and subtract it with the previous, because that is how sorting in JavaScript works in an array using the sort command. If we want to do an ascending order, we put previous here and then next here. So that is sort of my magic formula that I'm using. Now with that, what if we want to like have a start date? A start date which is if there is a start date, because this is a descending order, what we want to, well, if it's like a lot of to-dos, we should to-dos that sort it first. So again, previews and next. We do a next date updated minus previous date updated. Sort the to-dos in an ascending order based on date updated. Then from here on out, if the start date is greater than or equal to the to-do date updated, let's see, if this one, we do this inside. Either that, or if there is no start date. Now the thing here is it's not going to be a little it's hard to read this, so let's just put a comment here. If there is no start date, which is the default, or the to-do updated is within the start date range, range, it should do inside. And for this one, if data.length is still below the specified limit. So yeah, given this, let's run it about. So it should still show the 4 items, but if I make it start here, so I copy this, even if there's a rate limit of 4, rate limit of 4, and the start date is equals to this one, send. Okay, it didn't work. Wait. I think I made a mistake here. So I cut the edit. I edited the video, and what I did is should be previous, because this is descending and this should be ascending order. So given this, we also want to do this change, because it's going to show that if the date updated is within the range of start date. So I did a error there. So let's change it up. I've already tested this one. If I send it, we only get 2 items because that is the start date would start here and would end here. So given this, let's now we have check it out. If we do this, we get only 2 items because that is the 2 items that we have created that is above the start date. That's why it's just the start date. If we remove the start date, the problem is that we actually don't get the last 4 items, which means if we look at our database, let's see, we start here 7996, and actually this is 1 2 3 2 4. We don't see the 1 2 3 2 4. We only see 7437, which is this one. So that means our setup is this. We only get this. Supposed to be, we should get the last 4. So how do we fix that? We fix that in such a way. Well, before doing that, we create a test first. So let's put it on hold, and in essence, we should do a test so that we can see that, or we can say that in a way, we are able to get items. So let's do these things on get many. We can copy this one. Let's also, well, actually add everything. Add everything here. And for the root for getting many to-dos, so get to do. So let's set all of these things up. Now the best thing here, or the usual thing that we should do here is, what we should do is create a set, a data set that we should use as a test case instead of using this one. So let's create, let's do a delay. Let's put it here, delay.js. Let's create a way to delay our function using set timeout. Well, actually, we do this using a new promise with a resolve, transforming the set timeout resolve delay. and delay. And the thing is, the reason for this is a number, delays the run of the next code line. So this is how we create a delay using a promise. And we just get it. Okay, const delay is equals to require live delay, and after that, so let's just have a delay of 1 second. Const request, let's have let request is equals to none, and then here on out we is equals to we get this one, post. To make it easier, let's have payloads. Well, we don't need this anymore if we're going to create a loop out of it. So payload would be text, this is a to do, and done is equals to false. Well, the other thing that we can do, make it easier, so this is how I think. Let I equals 0, I is less than 5, and I plus plus. So we're creating a loop that would do this. Const request, this is a to do, instead of to do, let's just to do I, and then we add a delay of 1 second, await delay. Then let's set an arbitrary number. If I is equal to 3, we should get, so let start date, let's start, let's see, okay, we should get the IDs first, so should get the IDs. How do we get the IDs? Get the payload, get the ID, and then put it here. Status code, yeah, we don't need this. We don't need success, just need the ID of that one, and just push the IDs, push ID. That way we are able to delete them later on. So we should start adding stuff. Now let's copy this one. So it should return success array, array of to-dos and has a status of 200 when called using post, and has a limit, default limit of 3 items. So as you can see, if we do this, to do get, no payload is needed. We should have data. Yeah, no need for this. Status code is true. We should get data. Length should equal 3. And for this one, for const to do of data, we should be able to do this. Const text and done is equals to do. So this is just checking if it really exists in the database. So let's see if it works. npm test. Okay, I missed out adding the logger. False. But let's see. Response is not defined. ID is not defined. Where 29. Oh, okay. This is supposed to be response. Yep. Let's test it out. So there's an error. Where did I get the ID? Yeah. Find because we use to do item. Let's have ID here. Yeah. So this should work now. So the reason why it's taking long is because we're adding like a delay of 1 second. Again, we have a lower, not 100%. So the thing is, we should add an additional test, and it should be in descending order, where let's see. Of course, we already know that it's part of the data, so we don't need this. For let I is equals to 0, I is less than data.length minus 1. I'm going to show tell y, and I plus plus. So to check if we want to go into showing that this is in descending order, what we'll need to do is to get the previous to do data I, and then the next to do data I plus 1, and then from here on out we'll just get the previous to do date updated is less than next to do date updated should equal true. So let's test it out. Oh, well, we're using descending, so it should be we're using descending, so we should have next to do first and then previous to do. Let's check it out. Of course, it should return true. That's correct. Should add logger false as well here. Again, it will just show this one, and after that it should show get many tests. Now we just test that the first item, if there is no and it should be in the descending order, where the first item should be the last item or the latest item in the database, and this will break the system. So let's get the to-dos. Let's get the to-dos, and we know that we can sort it out. So from previews, and next we sort it in descending order. We already did that before by having it in this setup. So let's just get it. Just copy this. Latest updated item, making sure that we are using it correctly. And so const, so const, should be to-dos. Got const to do is equal to, or const to do is equals to to-dos 0, which should be the first thing, and the response to do is also should be the first thing in our setup, which is data 0, and they should be equal. So that means to do dot id should equal response to do dot id. And if we test it out, it should have an error. As you can see, it is different. They are different because what we got. So let's see in our database what we got is 8. This one, we got this, and this is the first three to-dos that we got, but this is the latest, and it's not the same as this one, or well, it was deleted already. So what we'll need to do, we'll just delete this for now. What we need to do to fix this is that if there's no start date, if there is no start date, we should sort the to-dos in a descending order. So let's just put it here and test it out. And there's no error, which means it worked, because we are now getting the first items, and the first items would be the latest items. And if we are getting if we have a starting date, we only get the items that are, we should start at the start item first. Yes. What's the other thing that we can do is, let's put it out here. We should test out it should return true and has a default limit of 3, and it should be in descending order, where the last item is the where the last item is the start date, is dated or is updated on or after the start date. So let's put one out here. We'll get the to-dos already. We'll get the to-dos. Then from here on out, we'll get an ID coming from, we'll parse int a math.random times the length of IDs. So we would always get an index, IDs, and then we get the to-do equals from the IDs itself. So yes, we get the date updated of that thing and then put it on start date, and then we add it up as a query parameter, which is start date is equals to start date we should because we know that there might be instances that it can be less than 3, should equal true. This is the case. We'll remove this, and we need to get to know that it is this one, and then that the last data, so data.length minus 1 that id should equal the id that we have set, because the last data should be equal to the picked id. So let's test it out. Oops, there's an error. What was the... we should const index is equals to todos dot find index, where todo that id is equals to id, and we get that index instead of using the id, because we are not using a key value pair, we are using array, and array the index should be a number and not the id itself. So here we are, and there you go. We are able to get only the items that we should get. Okay. Now let's see that the backend app is currently 0. Because there's no right. So what we can do is just have this 0, no option, and what we'll do here is logger true, trust proxy true, app.js is false, and because we just need it false. This is the same thing as you will just put it here, so that everything is in default. Oh yeah, we should add equal, because there can be, of course, it can be also 3. And that is how we are able to load all the data.